started. So, everybody, if you would like to participate, just say your name, your favorite song, or your song lyrics, or one thing that you've learned how to do recently, because I'm interested. So, I guess I'll share a little bit about answering that. My favorite song is currently right now is um, Ungodly Hour by Chloe and Holly. And one thing I've learned how to do recently, I'm gonna say my hair or painting, maybe. I'm not that good, but I try. I try. But y'all keep sharing, and I will move on to the next presentation. Um, so if you have like any questions, please only type it in the chat. You must be muted throughout the entire workshop. So please make sure that if you don't know how to mute yourself, I would just kind of give you a little insight. So if you're watching on your phone, tap your screen, click the mic at the bottom, and that is where you will find a little mic down there, and just click that. And if you're watching on your computer, it should be at the bottom. I know mine is on the top because I'm sharing my screen. And if you don't know how to mute yourself, don't worry. I'm gonna make sure that I mute everyone, and this time I'm gonna try to make sure that I tell y'all when I'm gonna mute everybody, so that way that nobody has any confusion with that. And I hope that I kind of guided you in making that a lot more easier, because it can be confusing learning all this stuff about Zoom. So I'm gonna give you my introduction in prayer, and after that we will have something extra that we will talk about today. So my name is Kennedy Wilkes, and I am your host for this event. I am so blessed to see that so many of you have joined this morning, and I'm happy to see that we have more people. And I'm so glad that you're all here. So I want to say just welcome. The rules I just introduced in the slide before this is what we shall carry throughout the entire workshop, by remembering to mute yourself or only typing in the chat. For everyone who just joined, please type your name, one thing you learned to do recently, your favorite song or song lyrics. And during this workshop, please take pictures so we can save these memories. So I ask that you use the filter that I put in the chat. It's labeled Workshop Part 2. And you can do this on social media, put like pictures, messages. I've been trying to learn how to do that. But you can put like pictures on there if you have like Instagram, if you have Twitter, and just keep sharing that even after the workshop is over, because this is our last one, with hashtag #GoGoWithKen and hashtag Unity. So let me tell you just a little bit about me and my journey with Girl Scouts. So I've been a Girl Scout since the 4th grade, and I am now an ambassador and a senior in high school. During those years, I have participated in a lot of community service. I have completed my Bronze Award in 2014 and my Silver Award in 2017. And I attended many camps under the leadership of Miss Marie Ledette and Mrs. Gwen Johnson. And Miss Marie is joining us tonight. So I am now working on receiving my Gold Award with the help of my mentor, Miss Katie Spencer, and all of you. This workshop is a project that I have created for my Gold Award. So today, I want us to further advance our mission, to receive more advice from our guest speakers, to hold a question and answer session, to hold a fun game night, pretty simple, and to always educate you. I desire for each of you to learn about today's topics of cyberstalking and collective bullying, and to make sure that each of you feel this event is a judge-free environment. The amazing people who will help my vision come alive are Brian Caro and Dr. Sundeep, who will speak more on the topics and hold a Q&A session. Our workshop facilitator, Jayla Jackson, and our project technology team, who will monitor the chat and put helpful information in there. So all these people I just mentioned, please wave to everybody so they know who you are, you get your recognition. And absolutely, I thank you for being here, each and every one of you. Now let's begin to pray. So in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. So the scripture for this evening session is Jacob chapter 15 to verse 20. Remember what I told you. A servant is not greater than his master. If they persecute me, they will also persecute you also. The synonyms of bullying is persecution, intimidation, and oppression. I know that Jesus that we went through a serious season of persecution, but this scripture means that God is with you and I through everything holding our hand. He sees what you've been through. He sees your experiences are not okay, but He's fighting our battle for us. He calls us worthy even when we've been through hurt from the past, and God and many others have been through the same thing, and we are here for each other. God, thank you for revealing this to us, that we are not in this by ourselves, and that we need you and our community. We are ready to be open to you and receive healing, and I believe that even though we've had a hard 2020, we are still worthy and are united together. Amen. All right, so let's get started. So, one thing I want to do before I introduce our first speaker is kind of give everybody a little background of my previous presentation that I had on the different types of bullying that I am discussing throughout my projects. So I will be discussing 8 types of bullying, and I just want to kind of give everybody a run through and a summary of it. Okay, so these are the 8 types. Move y'all over so I can see. It is physical, verbal, relational, cyberbullying, collective, cyberstalking, individual, and social. So the first one is verbal, and something I said in the first few sessions is verbal is basically just bullying from your voice. And this morning, our topics were verbal and social bullying. And it could be shaming, hostile teasing, insults, or threatening words. I think that verbal comes with many forms, but I'm going to give you a few facts that I hold tight, just one or two, that a verbal attack can have a physical appearance, and that a way to handle verbal bullying that they suggest is to ignore the bully, remain civil, tell an authority, and look for other resources that are enjoyable. So I think that verbal bullying is something that I went through. I think it's a serious thing that everyone goes through. But that's kind of just a rundown. I don't know if everybody had the same experience, but it was definitely a learning moment for me to learn more about verbal and physical. Okay, so the next type that I had on here is physical. So I put next to physical severe, mainly for the reason that I feel once it gets to the level of physical, verbal, physical bullying, um, that is really starting to affect the person, and it can end in a tragic ending. An example of that is physical attacks, fighting, stealing, domestic violence. And so I think that that is a huge, huge, huge thing that some people really do experience. And it can really go from verbal to physical quick. And it happens to about everyone. So I think that's really why I put that one there. So the next 3 are relational. So relational, this one I had absolutely a lot of fun relational, kind of learning about it, because it just opened so many doors about movies, about books that are related around it. So it's intended to basically ruin someone's reputation or social standing. It can be linked to physical and verbal, but I also call relational social bullying. And I believe it's called mobbing. Is it called mobbing? It's called relational aggression. Okay, and example of that can be saying nasty comments, excluding others from activities. And I don't know if y'all have heard of the movie Mean Girls, but it also can be related to that. And I thought that was super crazy because it's like you never know what you watch, what you consume can be bullying until you begin to educate yourself. So that's absolutely crazy to think about it like that. And the next type is cyberbullying. So I believe cyberbullying can be as severe as relational, verbal, and physical because it is something that happens online. And I've read somebody that said this is that cyberbullying is weird because it's like you don't know who's behind the screen. Like usually when it's physical or verbal, you might see the person. You gotta see the person because you know if it gets physical, you physically see the person. But when it's cyber and you don't know the person, I think it's a different lane because you don't know how to contact that person. You don't know how to stop it, and it's a lot thought into cyber. So I'm going to share a few facts about cyberbullying, and I'll talk about another one. So cyberbullying can have serious legal consequences, which I think is super crazy to me. And it can be focused on religion, gender, race, sexual orientation. It can be centered on a whole spectrum of things. And so that's just a little bit about relational and cyber. And so the next type is cyber stalking. Cyber stalking is basically, I consider it like another form of bullying, but that just has legal consequences. That's a way to sum it up because it can have jail time. It can come with huge consequences as well. So the last two are things that I would say a way that a bully attacks. Because collective and individual, collective is just like a group of people coming together to be rude to a target or a person. An individual can be someone, a single person coming one-on-one basically with a person. And I think that, I don't know, for me, I think I had collective more than I had individual, but it could be a combination of both collective and individual. And also collective can be known as mobbing. I didn't know that, and that was kind of interesting to me. Oh no, ganging up. I didn't know it could be called ganging up. So that was kind of interesting. Um, Another thing is the both mobbing and ganging up. It can happen in your family, the workplace. I think many like other forms. And it's crazy that it can happen in the workplace as well, because sometimes excluding people can be another way of that workplace bullying can happen. So I hope that I kind of summarized it up for you guys, and I was very helpful. I hope that y'all found that helpful. If you didn't, I want to give you the full presentation so that way you can go through, get all the full info. And at the end, I'm going to share some other resources that I have so that way everybody can collectively. I'm sorry, I didn't see everybody typing in the chat. Okay. Oh, thank you. Thank you. And also, she put my website in there so that way that you can go there and read more up on everything. Get the journaling resource. Go get that journaling resource. Absolutely amazing. And just a whole bunch of things that y'all can get there. Okay, so I want to introduce our first speaker, and I absolutely thank him for being here because he's actually on call, and I really appreciate him for coming through and speaking to us. So I want to introduce Dr. Sundeep. Dr. Rahim has over 10 years of experience in teaching and treating and evaluating psychoanalytic disorders in many rural and urban areas of the U.S., including clinics, hospitals, jails, and prisons, all the while being able to appreciate impairing variations of patients' presentations, along with psychiatric illness. He is attentive to current social, political, cultural events, which he incorporates into his daily practice and presentations. The combined experience has given him a passion to share, educate, and teach about these conditions to professionals at various levels of training and people in any work setting, along with youth of all ages. He also talks about bullying and harassment, understanding and defining coping strategies, social media and how it affects your mental health across ages, and substance use disorders, illegal versus legal, abuse and dependence, and to know how to handle what issues come head on. So everybody, please welcome Dr. Sundeep Rahim, and I absolutely thank you for being here, Dr. Sundeep.
All right. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Oh, okay, cool. Right. So, am I being seen? I can't tell on my side. Like, yeah. Okay, cool. All right. So, thank you, Kennedy. I just wanted to first, appreciate being able to get a chance to talk to everyone and about such an important factor and situational stressor that so many of us go through. I first met Kennedy during another bullying talk, and I believe even an anxiety talk a couple months back, and she had reached out afterwards and told me about all the awesome work that she was doing. And I made it a point to try to make sure that I was available to talk and hopefully be able to spend time answering questions, because I think by this point we're all very familiar with the different types of bullying and what kind of things can occur from it. But I did want to just um, keep it very focused on any concerns or directions or questions that you may have, anyone that's participating currently, so we can get the most out of this. I should be hopefully, if no emergencies go, good for another 45, 50 minutes, but just want to make sure that those that are on and spending the time being a part of the Zoom call get something worthwhile out of it. So bullying is something that I also have personally experienced. Once upon a time during high school when social media wasn't as, I guess, prevalent as it is now, bullying was a bit different. It was more physical, in your face. What you saw was what you got. And I think that the first time I really got a hint of bullying was right after 9/11. I went from people's friends to the next day turning into a terrorist and a whole bunch of other things that I just couldn't comprehend at the time, especially because it was so unfamiliar and I just didn't know why it was targeted left and right, and just the effects of comments and unwanted statements from others and how detrimental that can be for a youth and an adolescent growing up, let alone a young adult. um, so nonetheless, with bullying, like Kennedy was mentioning, I do work in an inpatient setting, in inpatient psychiatric setting, as well as prisons, jails, etc. But the inpatient setting is directed towards the adolescent unit. And the reason I really like to talk about bullying and advocate for ways to get help is just because it's preventable. And if you really learn how to conquer bullying, um, it's just one thing you could teach on to another friend, or you could see it in school. You could see somebody else going through it or being a victim of it and lend a hand when somebody else or nobody else may be able to offer help as well. And because of that effect, it's really important to understand, if this is preventable, then we should learn how to, one, eventually get over it, but just the way human development works and the way we are, there's usually always a bully in every category, in every type of subclass, in every social group, or in elementary, high school, and above, even in work settings, which the bullying evolves into harassment in that setting. Um, Nonetheless, I was mentioning the inpatient psychiatric unit because often I'll see kids, even this morning while I was rounding, there's 3 or 4 kids that became suicidal just because of the intensity of the bullying was so much, they didn't know what else to do. I've had a lot of anxious youth, anxious teens that eventually, they first put up this strength on saying, no, I'm not going to listen, I'm not going to listen. But eventually they start to listen to what these bullies are saying. And actually, a youth on Wednesday finally got cyber stalked or cyber bullied to the point where she overdosed on, I believe, 8,000 milligrams of ibuprofen. On Tuesday, there was another youth that started having a lot of trauma recollections from getting bullied earlier in the year when school was going on. And then once quarantine went from regular school to online school, all those bullies kept following her onto her online format and just kept putting her down, dismissing any work she was doing, and really affecting her self-esteem to the point where, again, she became very suicidal and attempted to end her life. So again, because it's so preventable, I really advocate on ways to get help and also really just learn about it. So people, like anyone online, especially Kennedy and the work that she's doing, lets you be the advocate and take charge and give help and offer a hand when others may not. So in saying that, bullying does affect everyone, or can affect you at different ages. The things to really keep in mind is that eventually it can, really take a toll on your self-esteem, can lead to a lot of mental health impairments if it's unwanted and unwelcome and just there on a day-to-day basis. And that can lead to almost anything. I've seen youth, like I was mentioning, get depressed, get extremely anxious, get suicidal, just want to stop going to school. I've had this year and the last 2 years more than ever before, had to write more and more reports for youth to get online schooling or homeschooling just because their school was just full of bullies or people that the kids couldn't deal with. And so they were willing to leave these elite schools, these great academic institutions, and rather learn at home just because one bully was enough to alter the way their day goes. And I did want to also mention, bullying has finally got to the point where it's getting national attention. In fact, bullying is now, I don't know, I don't think we could do a hands up or hands down thing on this as well, but bullying is now a criminalized offense in some states. There are as close as in Wisconsin. Wisconsin has two counties in the northern part where uh, the community itself was dealing with so much bullying that the legal side took over, and one school setting said that if there's a kid that's known as a bully, then they will get the parents involved and they'll give the parents a talk. And if the bullying doesn't get better within that next week, basically, then the parents will get fined $300. If it continues past another 2 weeks, then they can get fined up to $700, I believe. And the third time can lead to more legal uh, issues or police intervention. And there's another county, I believe, that let me just double check what their issue, or sorry, their fines were. Um, yeah, so the first offense, like I was mentioning, was $366. Second one, $681. That's in Shawana, Wisconsin. And then there's another county in New York where the fine was $250. And if the bullying continued and the parents didn't intervene or the caregiver didn't intervene, then it would lead to jail time. And surprisingly, over the next 2 to 3 years, research showed that the amount of bullying started to decrease just because somebody was intervening. So, it goes to show that a lot of bullying and the behaviors that we have in school or in social settings can be learned and modeled after what we learn at home, or depends on who teaches us right and wrong, etc. So it is something that's getting more and more prevalent. But like Kennedy was just saying, cyberbullying has really taken effect, and just there's been a dramatic rise over the last, I want to say, about 5 years, given how popular Twitter has gotten, PayPal, and um, not PayPal, sorry, Twitter, and then Snapchat, and all these other digital formats. So because of that, um, it's easier to get a hold of anybody. And like I was saying earlier, once upon a time, bullying was what you saw was what you got, and now it's it follows you home. People can take any kind of random photo of you, put you in a compromising position, and that then can turn into a reason for others to tease you or bully you, etc. But again, a lot of bullying, I'm sure everybody's experienced their version of, and you can kind of educate over and over again of what bullying is. But I want to make sure, with the time that I have, I spent answering any questions for it first and foremost, and any concerns people have, any situational concerns, any mental health related questions, kind of answer those, just so it's kind of guided. I can follow up with any other kind of information also. Plus, I did want to mention Kennedy does have my contact information in case anybody wants to have a direct conversation or just talk more about bullying or anything on the bullying side in regards to mental health. Because I believe that, just like Kennedy was saying, the more we can advocate, the more we can educate, the better off hopefully everybody could be at some point. So in saying that, Kennedy, I'm not sure if there was any questions as of right now. Um,
Does anybody have any questions for
no,
him? Or
no.
well, I have a
Yeah.
question.
So
How
yes,
hard do you think, like, what's the hardest part about your job? Like, what do you find that is the hardest part to do?
sure. So like you were saying earlier, I've not by this point I've been in working with youth and these clients for about 10 years. Initially, the hardest part was just not taking home some of the stories I would hear, because there'd be weeks where I would hear, about some trauma or some kid getting bullied or beat up or his arm getting broken in school, and I would on my way home be like, okay, there's no way I'm going to hear another story that's even worse than this. And then a week later, I would hear something much more devastating. I think the most intense things lately have been the combination of bullying and violence, especially in the Chicagoland area. I've had several youth before Corona occurred where I would ask them in the outpatient setting, so what are your plans this weekend? And they'd be about 14, 15 years old. And they would say something to the effect of, well, I've got basketball practice Friday, I got a game Saturday morning, I have a funeral at noon, and then I have a tournament Saturday night, and then hopefully church on Sunday. And they would just glide over a funeral like it was just common language, right? And so that really got to me because it's like, how could you normalize a funeral? And then when I asked them about it, be like, oh, it was my friend got shot a couple of blocks away because he was at the wrong place, wrong time. And you could just see these kids with no affect. I think that was really hard to kind of absorb just because I didn't grow up in that kind of way, but I know I see and treat a lot of youth that are experiencing that kind of bullying and violence. So really absorbing that and trying to help there has been a challenge as of most recently. And sometimes it's also hard just figuring out what to say next because a lot of these kids will have someone that says, oh, we'll just get over it, or just be a man, or you don't need to worry about bullying, or it'll go away. But what they forget is the person that's experiencing the bullying has a different perspective, right? They're worried about, do I see this person the next day? What am I going to say? What am I going to do? How am I going to get through it? And one caveat that I usually try to describe is, if you could think of a bully, and again, I can talk much more about this, hopefully, if I had the time, but if you could think of a bully sort of like a bad comedian, and as an analogy, a comedian is typically someone that wants you to applaud or give them a reaction. But if you could think of them as a bad comedian trying to tell you a joke, basically they just want you to get something out of you. And if you can neutralize or even accept what they're saying, you don't give them that rise or that applause. So eventually that bully will start to go away. Again, it's a super summarized approach, which kind of goes with a much longer presentation. But to answer your question, Kenny, I think the most recent has been, again, the bullying with the amount of violence and the amount of repercussions that actually can come with it.
Yeah.
I have to agree. Sorry, go on. So I was going to ask you, like, at your like the things that you've experienced, you mentioned cyberbullying and other components. Like, what did you find to be the most challenging initially? Because it seems like, especially from the conversations we've had, you're very assertive, confident. Your self-esteem is awesome, right? And you're like rocking that badge, which is really cool because those are things that we just try to build up on. So from your perspective, like, what is it that you find challenging at your age, or like if your friends are going through it, where do hurdles come up in that setting?
I would say, like, just from a teenager perspective, sometimes it's hard to like stay true to who you are, because like there's so many components and you see people doing stuff as teenagers and you want to do that, but that's maybe not right for you. That's not your values. That's not a part of your standards. And so sometimes it's hard to remember that. And I guess for me, like, God really centers me. Like, he helps me to understand like a whole bunch of things. He helps me to understand, okay, but they might do it, but that's just not for you. That's not the way that I've created you. And I have to change that perspective. Because it's like, I might see somebody partying and I want to go party. I mean, it's just simple things like that. Or I see somebody in a relationship, I want to be in a relationship. It's just things that people do. And it's maybe it's simple things, but, in reality, sometimes that's challenging, because I feel like that really goes with bullying a lot, because it's like you want to compromise and not be who you are to fit in with the world around you. And sometimes that's really hard to stay compromising to who you are. And I think like just hinder things that I think about a lot is because I'm older, I have more accountability, more responsibilities, and I kind of have to take on the role of being a little bit more mature. So it's like a lot of responsibility of trying to get all the work done that I have to get done, and not failing in this area and being strong in this area, and really just, I don't know, being successful in every area. And sometimes that's hard to do because I am a procrastinator at its best. And I try my best to like push through and just know that it's possible. And another thing I would say, this is probably the last thing, is I deal with a lot of persecution, like just from around me and in my mind. Like, yeah, I may
Mm,
be confident out here, but in my mind, it would try to talk me out of a lot of things. And I'm just like,
okay.
oh, I can't do this. And then I do it. Like it's just a lot of things that I think I can't do, but then I can. Not because, I mean, yeah, it might be the people around me that are negative, but then it's also me being me, self-sabotaging the situation, or
Mhm.
either just overthinking it, because I'm a huge overthinker. And I analyze everything. So it's just like that. And I mean, yeah, I'm a confident person now, but then I wasn't. I had like low self-esteem. I didn't think I could do this. I didn't think I could do this event. You know, it's just a whole bunch of things you think you can't do, but then you do it. So
Okay. I mean, again, I think you highlighted a really good point, and so often I'll work with youth in the outpatient setting for exactly those reasons, where because of how much social media has an impact on us, all we see is sometimes people on Instagram or Twitter giving all these comments, and we just assume they're super confident people or they have it
yeah,
going on, and then that also builds doubt in ourselves. So often I'll have to teach just youth on this is all a normal thing that everybody goes through. No one's just built and ready to say and do everything in a confident manner. It's a practice skill that comes about because you do one thing and you're like, okay, that went awesome. Let me try this. That went awesome. Let me try this. And the more you put into your experience arsenal, the better things get. So, to your point, it's not an overnight extravaganza, but that little voice in your head that says, no, you can't do it. It just takes that time to be like, wait, what if I do? And then, if you have the support, if you have the family, if you have religion, all those things combined can be a beautiful backbone to push
yeah,
you to, even stand up for yourself. So if a bully or someone else is saying something to you, better, and you don't get vulnerable to kind of listening to them. But
yeah,
again, it's a bittersweet world because so many people have quick opinions and statements and they don't think things through. And everybody has an opinion to usually put people down, which also is unfortunate during this time. you know
yeah,
but one thing I did want to allude to because of your presentation is, at every age there's different things that go on, but if you with the one thing about mental health that sometimes is different than physical health is, for instance, if we see someone with a broken bone or some type of laceration, we're usually not quick to say, hey, let me put some stitches on that, or let
yeah,
me put a cast on it. But for some reason, when it comes to mental health, because it's a different animal, we are quick to give advice and offer some type of sympathy or empathy because we really, really want to help. But
mhm,
if you be realistic also, so if you find a friend, a associate, or someone that or a family member that's losing self-esteem, you notice a difference in their behavior, they're giving things away, or just not their peppy selves, try to offer support. But also if it's outside your wheelhouse, if you see something, just say something and offer them either a number for a therapist, a counselor, or a psychiatrist, because sometimes it's a lot more than a friend can offer. Even though as a friend, we always want the best and we try to give advice, but sometimes that advice can also go negative because I might see you, Kennedy, now and forget the Kennedy from a couple of years ago as I never met you, right? Be like,
mhm,
oh no, she says this, but she's just saying that she actually has it going on, and
yeah,
she's just telling me because she's got pity on me, etc. But so small things can go a long way, especially when someone's suffering. So I think the fact that people are more open to getting mental health help these days is awesome, and is removing the stigma. And again, at a younger age, it's available for
yeah,
for anything basically going on.
yeah.
Yeah,
So does
but
anybody
no,
have any questions for
mhm.
him? I'm sorry. Continue.
No worries. No, I was just going to, just follow up on that part. But I think something, yeah, was there a question? Or, because I want to make sure, again, be good of time. The hospital's starting to call, so I should be good for another couple minutes.
Yeah, they have a question in the chat. It says, can you offer any ideas for parents who cannot relate to cyberbullying when they might not relate to having social media connections?
Sure. So every single day there's a flood of information and new things that are coming out first thing I always recommend to parents, if it's cyberbullying, if it's social media, if it's drug related, etc. If you don't know about it, Google it. Just get yourself familiar, because if you try to just kind of learn passively, you're not going to be able to keep up. But if you could Google and just get an understanding of what the topic is, usually all you need is an in to have a conversation with youth, right? So when it comes to initial tactics, just try to look it up on your phone, get familiar with it, and then let the youth, or let whoever, your child, inform you of what their perspective is on, let's say, TikTok, Twitter, social media, etc. But when it comes to the essence of bullying, that is always going to be the same, because it's unwanted statements, unwanted gestures, unwanted narratives that someone is throwing at you and you have to deal with, right? So because, like Kennedy, you were saying, it's behind the scenes, you don't get to see the person, it might come off a little different, but at the core, it still affects our self-esteem. It affects who we are as a person, our confidence. So you want to gauge how that cyberbullying is affecting the person's functioning, and then build on that. And encouragement sometimes is basically, encouragement and support is sometimes what we want more than specific antidotes or answers on, mom, what do I do now? Or dad, what do I do now? Sometimes you just want to vent and let somebody know that we're hurting, and then also just have the support. So like, again, like Kennedy and I were saying, we just want that backbone, so we can say, you know what, I can try this. I'm going to defend myself, and my mom and my dad have my back, or my caregiver has my back.
Yeah.
Right? So if we know that that's strong, then we can go a lot further. Again, this is it's a very simple approach to a big idea, and sometimes I have a lot of role playing different sequences, but I don't want to take away from Kennedy's presentation. So again, great question, and like I said, she has my contact info and would love to chat more at any time or offer more guidance.
Okay. And also, I kind of want to add to what he said is, he said the point of let your kids listen to your kids, and I think that's so real. But I think also something my mom does with me is, yeah, she may listen, then she be like, okay, go talk to God now, because I mean, God can give you and center you and give you your exact answer. Maybe not right then and there, but it's gonna come. And it's not gonna always feel good when you go through hard seasons, persecution. It's not gonna feel good. Nobody feels good. But I think that God can be able to take away everything that you feel. Because when you go through bad experiences, you take on things like anxiety, stress, overwhelm, and God has a way of just releasing that and taking that away and opening the doors for you to see more about yourself. And so I think that is another way to kind of go about it. And I just preach God because that's all I know. Like when something's wrong, I go straight to Him. If something's bad, I go straight to Him because I don't know what else to do. So I would say that keeps me centered, and I don't know if that's per se how you live your life, but that's how I live mine. So that just keeps me centered. And I just want to say thank you, Dr. Sundeep, for just everything. That was absolutely amazing, everything that you said. And I like the fact that we went backwards and forwards, just giving our opinions. So that was
Likewise.
great. And thank you, Ms. Katie, for your question.
Yes. All right. Thank you, Kennedy. Again, I think the more this is conversational, the more it can be applied, because I could come here and throw research and data and all these facts at anyone, but we want real life things and real life ways to get through it. And like you were just saying, religion is a big part, but that's been ingrained in you, right? It's a support that you can rely on. And I think it's a beautiful thing that you said, it might not come right away, but you're going to persevere and keep trying, right? That's what kids will sometimes lack in the moment when you're getting bullied every single day, and you're like, okay, well, F it, where's God now? Where's this? But if that gratification isn't seen right there, or that support isn't, then at least you have an option B, an option C, or someone to just vent and talk to, knowing that they have, your back. But again, thank you so much for everyone listening. Great questions. And hopefully I'll be in touch and continue to see you shine, Kennedy.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. I got to jump off. I got to get back to the hospital. But again, thank you, everyone. I hope you have a great day and stay safe.
You too.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
Okay, so I would like to introduce our next speaker, Brian. So, Mr. Brian, he has, for over 10 years, has been serving the Houston metro area, consulting with educators, mentoring deserve youth and parents. Brian's work in group homes in Baltimore and Houston as a case manager, coupled with 8 years of teaching special education, equips him with the equipped him with capacities needed to effectively reach those who have been labeled hard to reach. Brian's approach levies creative ways to engage children. His goal is to help our youth develop the behaviors and social skills needed to be successful. So everyone, please welcome Mr. Brian.
Good evening, Kennedy. Thank you for the opportunity. I just want to speak to you guys a little bit about some things pertaining bullying. Of course, we know, which Kennedy outlined earlier, that there are 8 styles of bullying, and I take a kind of a different approach. I definitely lean on God for a lot of stuff. But I know that God has not given us the spirit of fear, but a power and of love and of a sound mind. And I think one of the keys to bullying is, I always say this, I heard this in a song I love: the change I want to see must first begin in me. So they do have these myths and these lies: sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That's false, because words can be very detrimental. Words can be very traumatic. But one thing I want to do is speak life into each and every one of these people on this call, as well as myself, to let us know, when you know who you are and when you know whose you are, things affect you a lot different. Like, somebody can't come up to me and tell me that I am lame. You know, that's a word the kids use a lot of times in school. They call somebody trash, or they hear somebody lame or something like that. Can't nobody tell me that, because no matter what you say about me, I don't believe that about myself. And no matter how many times I say it, I'm rooted and grounded in who I am and whose I am. So one thing I think is very important is understanding your identity, who you are and what you represent. And that comes from having different goals. So when we know who we are and we know whose we are, we know what we represent, we know what we're willing to accept and what we're not willing to accept, that is a very strong and powerful, thriving force in how we navigate through life and how we handle ourselves when we are approached with negativity. So there's the physical bullying, we know, where somebody is threatening you or somebody is causing harm to you physically. That's unacceptable. Then there's the verbal aspect, where we hear a lot of verbal bullying, where people are saying different things. Now, one thing I always caution people with, I heard Tony Robbins, who's one of the top motivational speakers in the world, he said, when you ask yourself the right questions, you get the right answers. Now, what I want to ask you is, if somebody's calling you stupid or ignorant or ugly or whatever the case may be, why is so much value placed on what they said? Now, it's easiest to say that than when you're the person sitting in the chair receiving that verbal abuse. But what I want to challenge you is to look in the mirror every day, thank God for breath in your lungs, and tell yourself that you're amazing, that you're beautiful, and that you're handsome, or whatever the case may be, and that you are enough, that you matter. So it don't matter what other people say. You have to understand that you matter. And the way you build that up is by understanding your purpose and understand what's required of you. Another thing that I like to focus on with people that are bullying others is empathy, because most of the time, hurt people. So what they've learned is to inflict what they didn't like and what they disregarded on other people, because that's like a defense mechanism for them to make them feel better about themselves. So empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another person. Not sympathy, but empathy. Sympathy can be something where, and sympathy is cool too, but sympathy don't get you as far as empathy. Sympathy could be something like somebody fall and they sprain their ankle. Well, you can say, well, at least you ain't break your leg. You know, so I sympathize with you, but at least you ain't break your leg, you good. But empathy is understanding, well, man, I understand what it's like to sprain my ankle. I understand what it was like to have to sit in a boot, walk in a boot. I couldn't go run. I couldn't go play ball like I wanted to. I couldn't move around and be as mobile. I had to be dependent upon other people. So I understand, man. So whatever it is that you need, I'm there for you to assist you and to help you. And when we learn how to empathize with people better, we put ourselves in a better posture, in a better position, not to be so insensitive regarding bullying. Another thing I think we need to understand a lot better is diversity. A lot of times, being an educator, working in group homes, doing a lot of mentoring programs and coaching and playing ball, I've seen that a lot of times people bully people, or people get bullied as a result of a lack of understanding of diversity. So people look at things like, if it's not what I like or it's not how I think it should be, then there's something wrong with it. So I want to talk about it. So there's some kids that like to wear Chuck Taylor. Some kids might want to wear some Adidas. Some kids might want Reebok. Some kids might want some Jordans. Different strokes for different folks. But the problem is you're going to get roasted if you come to school with some Skechers or something like that. And you have to be able to stand on who you are and whose you are and what you like, and not adjust how you feel and what you like based on what other people say. So again, I always say the change I want to see must first begin in me. Not saying that it's okay for them to bully you, but I want to challenge you to understand and to question yourself on why is what they're saying bothering you so much. Where are you rooted and grounded in the diversity of who you are? Because guess what? I have no desire to go jump in the ocean and swim with sharks, but there is somebody that does. And I enjoy watching that on TV. So because there's somebody who is completely different in the way they think of their fears or their desires than I am, I'm blessed with something. Science is blessed as a result of that. I have no desire to fly to space, but there's somebody who's very interested in that. And as a result of that, the world is in a better position. So we have to learn to value diversity and understand that, because so now we don't have those bias and those prejudiced thoughts that we have against other people that put us in a position where we're talking about them or looking at them indifferently because they look different to us, because they talk different to us, because their interest level in different things are different than us, because they learn different than us. You know, as an educator, you know, a lot of people don't want to raise their hand in class because somebody might call them stupid or they're worried about what somebody might say, but that same person put their head down when they make a mistake, you know, because they've been taught to respond in that negative manner. So we have to value empathy. We have to value diversity. We have to be rooted and grounded in who we are and whose we are and what we represent. So the things that people say about us don't matter. And we also need to hold other people accountable, our friends, our family members, when we see them acting in a manner that isn't diverse, acting in a manner that isn't empathetic, acting in a manner that is insensitive. Validation. When you think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you don't know what that is. Maslow, M-A-S-L-O-W, hierarchy of needs. You look at things like validation. Validation is very important on that list when it talks about human development. When you look at a child and when you look at people, everybody, it's a human need. We want to feel some kind of validation. But we have to understand what's good validation and what's bad validation. And we look at cyberbullying. A lot of times it's a lot of negative validation and people placing all of their value based on what other people see. They want that endorphin drop that they get from feeling good about getting likes or somebody saying, oh, you're good at this. So it's all too often we find ourselves falling into a space where we don't like something or we don't feel that we're valid unless other people are giving us validation. And that's insufficient because, you know, okay, let's think of somebody like Beyonce. Beyonce is one of the most popular women artists, singers, or whatever. But there's some people that say that she sucks. Does she suck? Absolutely not. She's done some amazing things. But there's some people that think that she sucks. There's some people that might say that LeBron James is not a good basketball player or that he's a crybaby, whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? Like, all I'm saying is you can't base how you feel about yourself based on somebody else's validation, because I just named you two people that's at the top of the game in their industry, and you got a lot of people that hate on them. So you're never enough for others, but you're enough for God. You're enough for who you are. You know, that doesn't mean that we're not always going to grow, but you have to always believe that you're enough and that you're growing, that you matter. So don't be so stuck on recognition and affirmation, because people's feelings change, emotions change, but you have to be steadfast and firm, staying firm on who you are and what you represent. Your identity. Identity is a big solution for bullying. As I spoke about briefly before, you have to know who you are and what you represent, because I can tell you anything. Somebody that's vulnerable. When you're vulnerable, you're more susceptible to falling into traps. Now, I've seen many kids fall into situations where they just wanted to fit in because they weren't able to get along with the social group, and they were isolated, the exclusion type of bullying. So they just wanted to be accepted. So they were willing to do some things that were very uncharacteristic of who they were. Some of them end up dead, some end up in jail, end up suspended in an alternative school, different things like that. You know, so you have to be rooted in who you are and be okay with if you like to play games and that's what you like. If you like to play sports, then that's okay. If you would rather put on some Skechers than put on a pair of Jordans, that is okay. That's awesome. You're going to save your parents a lot of money. You're going to save yourself a lot of money. That's cool. But you got to be cool with who you are. And you got to be able to grow and evolve into that. And then we get into the aspect of the self-bullying. See, a lot of times because we aren't rooted and grounded in who we are, we look for validation too much. We start bullying ourselves. Then we turn on Instagram when we turn on Twitter and we see how I say a woman is what beauty is supposed to look like, or what a good-looking man is supposed to look like, and all these different things, and we start telling ourselves that we aren't valid, and we start questioning ourselves. But what I'm here to tell you is that how God made you is how God made you, and that's how he meant for you to be. As dark as you are, as light as you are, as big as your head is, as big as your nose is, big as your ears, your lip, your feet. If you ashy, you can put some lotion on. You know, so that's something we can work on. But if you got a big head, then you got a big brain too. So put it to work. You know, we have to be okay with loving ourselves and who we are and not start bullying ourselves. Because guess what? Respect and energy is infectious. And if you don't respect yourself, you can't expect anybody else to respect you, because that energy is going to flow all around. You know, we're spiritual beings, and that energy is going to flow. If you don't respect yourself and you don't stand up and love yourself, then it's going to be hard for other people to do that, because you're setting the tone to say that you don't matter. But what I'm here to tell you is that you do matter. So when we think about physical bullying, you know, that is completely unacceptable. But we think about the empathetic aspect, and that hurt people. We think about the verbal bullying. We think about the emotional, you know, where people are, you know, emotions change. 1 minute they have their highs and they have their lows. But it's very important for us to understand how important it is to value ourselves and understand that the emotions do change. So we have to understand how those go. And we have to remember this: when emotions are high, reasoning is low. So when you're in an emotional moment, maybe it's better for you not to say something. Because when you're in an emotional moment, you're liable to say something that you're going to have to apologize for later, and that you can embarrass yourself or your family. So make sure that we know that when our emotions are high, our reasoning is low. So we want to have ourselves of wisdom in our posture of humility to make sure that we're saying the right thing. And also, when people say things to us, we have to understand that what they say about you and how they feel about you does not define who you are. God defines who you are. Your identity, what you're rooted in, your belief systems, your core values and your core beliefs, they define who you are. The decisions that you make every day. You know, we make decisions every day. They got the educational bullying. See, I used to be scared to read in front of the class because I didn't like reading much. I used to stutter over some of my words. But then when I realized, hey, you know, practice makes improvement. Practice don't make perfect, because we can never be perfect, but practice does make improvement. And if you work on your craft and you beat on your craft on a daily basis, you're going to get better. But you got to be okay. If somebody say something about you, it is what it is. That's for the teacher to handle that. And you can go have a conversation with that person, tell them how you feel about what they said about you. But you have to make sure that your personal development and your growth is not going to be stifled because you're what somebody else is going to say about you. You know how many people are sitting around, they're bitter and they're living in regret because of what they didn't do, because of what somebody would say about them. See, the graveyard, people always say that the graveyard is where the most potential is. And people always say that they wish they had, if somebody was on their deathbed, they would ask for more time. They wouldn't ask for more money, because you can't do nothing with that. Right there, you on your deathbed, they would ask for more time. And right now, what I'm saying, every last one of you, myself and everybody, we all got time right now. So we have an opportunity of a lifetime where we can take advantage of the opportunity of a lifetime of this opportunity to educate ourselves and make those moves and not allow what people's thoughts and feelings about us define us, and not allow ourselves to be bullied, and also not be bullied by other people, and hold each other accountable and hold others accountable. For the educational bullying, for the physical and the verbal and the emotional bullying, for the exclusion, for the cyber bullying. And really, if somebody's I'm a proponent of this. If it's negative energy, to get it out your space. Somebody DMing you or messaging you or trying to put you out there bad on social media, then you block them, delete them. Don't give attention to that. You hear a lot of great athletes when they're in the playoffs and stuff like that. They don't watch the media. They don't watch different things where it's during a Super Bowl or during a championship when they're saying all these negative things and all this commentary on people. They don't even get into it. They don't even watch it, because that's negative energy and those are negative thoughts. So you can't always control what thoughts come to your head, but what you can do is you control whether you entertain it. So you can cast down every single negative thought that tries to exalt itself against the knowledge of Christ, against the knowledge of what you believe about yourself. You can cast down every single thought and walk in that positivity and that confidence and in that love that you represent and that you believe about yourself. Also, another thing why it's so important to be rooted and grounded in who you are, because that can build anxiety if you're not. And, you know, one thing, I know a lot of other people in here, especially the adults, could agree with me, ain't nothing like peace of mind. Peace of mind is priceless. But when you walk around with anxiety, you know you maybe need help with your work, but you can't raise your hand because you're worried about what somebody's going to say. You don't want to walk in the hall because you're worried about getting roasted for the shoes or your haircut. You don't want to get on a bus. You don't want to go in the cafeteria. That is depressing. That is a stressful life. So I encourage you to be rooted and grounded in who you are. I encourage you to be confident in who you are. I encourage you to speak life into yourself. I encourage you to hold your friends, yourself, your family members accountable for the lack of diversity and the lack of ways where they're so willing to talk about and clown other people for things that they have no control over, and to not walk in an empathetic manner. I encourage you to walk in that. I encourage you to be confident, unapologetically bold about it. Like I said, there's nothing wrong. If you like Skechers, if you like Reeboks, Filas, Nikes, whatever it is, that's what you like. And that's what makes you unique. You know, if you're the creative one that want to wear colors that don't match, that's what makes you you. Maybe you want to go into fashion, or maybe you just ain't worried about what other people think. And that's okay. You know, that's like I heard I seen on that Last Dance thing with Jordan. They were making a bet on a half-court shot. He said, why would I be fearful of something I never tried? See, I believe a lot of things with bullying comes from the victimizer is hurt people, and they're really insecure and they want to project their feelings. But from the part of the victim, I believe there's a lot of insecurities and a lack of security and a lack of self-love that's making all those things that they're projecting on you affect you so much, you know? So I say this, the change I want to see must first begin in me. You know, so I got to know who I am and whose I am, and I got to love myself no matter what. I got to know that I'm worthy and I matter no matter what. You got to speak life into yourself and also hold others accountable and walk in the spirit of empathy and understand that, hey, this may not be something I care about. This joke might have been funny, but at the end of the day, it's still not right. So we have to understand the importance of holding others accountable. All right. So, and here's a few things I'm gonna give you. If you know somebody that's dealing with exclusion, bullying, or if your child or whoever is dealing with it, validate that person's feelings. Validate them. So even if you think that it's something like, oh man, you're crying over that, validate it because it's important to them. And also validate them on a daily basis. Let them know that they're awesome, they're amazing, that they matter. Discuss what's controllable. Because some things we can't control other people, but we can control ourselves. Give great advice, but don't always fix it because, you know, adversity builds character. You can't always step in, be a tool to give them the tools of what they need, but you can't always come in there and just stop the problem. Seek out other friendships. If people are trying to exclude you, like, I'm a proponent of this. I'm gonna go where I'm wanted. You know what I'm saying? I ain't trying to go. If y'all wanna rock with me, forget y'all. That's cool. Ain't nothing personal. You know, you don't want to rock with me, that's cool. I don't want to be nowhere where I'm not wanted. Who want to the girls? You want to talk to a guy that don't want you? Guys, you want to talk to a girl that don't like you? Absolutely not. Encourage to participate in other activities. Improve your social skills and consider getting outside help, whether it's therapy, a counselor, something like that. You know, I'm gonna tell you a quick story before I end it. When I was a freshman, I was a pretty high recruit. So I'm thinking that all the seniors going to take me under their wing and help me out. But really, they were really insecure and they was hating and being mean and stuff like that, trying to, you know, talk crazy to me. And I was like, well, shoot, I'm not about to try to suck up to them. You know, I want to be where I'm celebrated. Go where you're celebrated and not tolerated. They up there trying to clown. Okay, cool. I'm not rocking with y'all. I'm going to still work hard. I'm going to still do what I got to do. But I'm not going to go nowhere where I'm tolerated or disrespected. And that's where the self-esteem aspect comes from. You know? Would you eat dog food? Would you eat trash out the trash can? So don't allow nobody to treat you like an animal. Don't allow nobody to treat you like trash because you value and you're more than that. You know? So I never went up there trying to beg for their attention, for their validation. Their validation didn't matter. The coach's validation mattered because that's who decided whether I got on the field to play. So make sure you know who you are and what you represent, and be confident in yourself. And if you need some confidence, holler at me. You can speak these confessions over yourself every day, you know, to protect your mind and your spirit, and just be confident in that and love yourself. Remember, because if you don't love yourself, who else gonna love you? Ain't nobody gonna love you more than you love yourself. That's about it. Unless y'all got something else y'all want me to address, or any questions that y'all may have.
All right. Before they begin their questions, I be saying this a lot, and I say this on like days I watch a sermon because sometimes they be coming at my neck. You just came for my neck, and everything you just said was absolutely amazing. You got me thinking, and you're right when you said like, ladies, would you want to be with someone who doesn't care about you? That's facts. Nobody wants to be with someone who doesn't care about them, and everything you said was just real. So if y'all have any questions, go ahead, ask your questions. But I just had to get that off my chest. That was absolutely great. No questions? Okay. Let's see. What questions do I have? I heard you talking about recruitment, like getting into, it was like in, I'm thinking you're talking about college, maybe?
Yeah.
And what other, I don't know, like, I guess what other advice could you give from that experience, any other experiences that you went through?
What, regarding like the bullying aspect or just recruiting and getting into college and stuff?
Um, you can do both, combination of both.
Well, when I say going to college, I think be careful about the people you hang out with, because you know the trajectory of where you're going to go has a lot to do with the people that you're around and the energy that you're getting from them, the energy that you're giving out. You know, pick a college where you're going to feel comfortable. Like 40% of people go to college and leave. The retention rate is really, really high. You know what I'm saying? You go somewhere where you're going to feel comfortable, where you're going to have a support system. It may not always be family. It just may be some friends or something like that. Some people where you can lean on and grow from. Get a good circle. And as far as the bullying aspect, man, I mean, if you look at social media, it's like we want to pick and choose what we want to call bullying. You know, people posting all these pictures. I'll be seeing pictures, videos of crackheads. See, they hit home with me because I got family members that were crackheads and lost their kids, and you know what I'm saying. So that's not funny to me. We show people videos of people getting beat up. You know, I mean, it's just so much people making fun of people, kids. You know, we have to really get in a posture of empathy and understand, you know, what's right, what's wrong, and how would we feel if somebody did that to us? We'd be ready to fight. And like, so we have to really change our posture and how we see things. Yeah. It's important what matters. So as far as that, you know, got the things from the college and the things from bullying. Bullying don't change. I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. I worked elementary, middle, and high school. I've done after-school programs and daycares. It's not a big difference between 3-year-olds and 25 and 35-year-olds. You know, when a 3-year-old don't get their way, they act out. Grown person don't get their way, they act out. You can only focus on what's in your locus of control. I can't control other people. I can try to be a light, but what I can't control is myself. I can control how I respond. And a lot of people are trying to project their feelings and their thoughts on you because they think something about you or they insecure or whatever the case may be. But you got to be grounded in who you are. But if you don't know who you are, you're gonna be like a wave of the sea, tossed to and fro. They're going to abuse you, you know. So you gotta stay rooted and grounded. And I see people. Remember that movie? I don't know, y'all a little young. You see that movie Higher Learning?
No.
Yes, I have.
My mom said she has.
The movie Higher Learning is a perfect example of this. The guy Remy, he went off from a little country town, didn't have really great social skills, was a nice guy. Didn't have, but he went off to college. He didn't have no friends, didn't have nobody, no social group. He wasn't with the athletes. He wasn't with the cool kids. The only people that accepted him in was the Nazis. He was so yearning for some compatibility, for some friendship, for some sociable type of manner that he started being cool with them. And then they indoctrinated him. And he came from a nice family in the country with college and stuff. He wasn't racist, didn't hate nobody, but he was so yearning for that, and he was vulnerable, and he was susceptible to all that. So guess what he did? He bought a piece. Then they used him as a crash dummy. Got him up there killing people, then he killed himself. And I ain't seen that exact situation, but I've seen people go to college and get ate up and spit out. Because the world is a dark and dirty place if you ain't surrounded by the right people and you're not protected and you don't know how to protect yourself. I've seen girls go to college and get turned all types of ways. Guys go to college, get turned, some people get killed, people in jail, all because they didn't have a social group. a good social group to go to. They didn't have no social skills. They didn't have no identity. And when you ain't got no identity, it's easy for somebody to come make you join their gang and use you as a crash dummy. Girl, boy. You feel me? So my thing is, you got to know who you are. Somebody can say something to me. Somebody said at the gym the other day, "Oh man, you trash." Okay, come guard me. Come show me I'm trash. You know, you know what I'm saying? Like, it don't matter how many shots I miss. I'm still nice. You know what I'm saying? Look at Kobe Jordan. You know what I'm saying? Like, these guys had the mindset. It's not that their athletic ability was just so much better than everybody else's. They had the right perception. And perception, it ain't always truth, but it's reality. And that becomes the truth in your life. So you need to know how to operate and how to carry yourself. You know, I ain't about to sit around here being no victim. You know what I'm saying? You feel me?
Yeah. So does anybody have any questions for him before we play? Have our game night? Okay, so how did you overcome bullying?
Me?
Yeah.
Okay. I've had different situations where I was bullied, and I didn't realize there was so many aspects to bullying. Shoot, get my identity together. Sometimes you'll accept certain things because you don't know who you are.
Yeah.
But getting more confident, learning more about who I am, growing as a human being, spiritual development. Those are the different things. Addressing those situations. You know, there's good confrontation and bad confrontation. I ain't arguing and fighting with people, but you do have to address situations because you teach people how to treat you. Somebody hit you, or somebody do something crazy to you, and you address, "Hey man, I really didn't appreciate how that went." You know what I'm saying? You have a conversation, they handle you different than you just sitting there. You know, at one point when I was growing, I was trying to I don't want to be reacting and out here acting a fool, but I do want to handle myself. So I had to find that neutral means where communication does kill assumption. So I need to communicate, and there's nothing wrong. Drop your pride. Let somebody know if they hurt your feelings or you don't like what they said. Man, I don't like how you was talking to me. I don't like how they went. You know, I think we need to handle each other better next time. And you need to pull them aside and do it properly. Just establishing my self-control, my identity, and being honest with myself. Because a lot of times as men, especially as Black men, we got to try to act like we got to be all tough all the time. And really being able to express your feelings. So let somebody know you did hurt my feelings, or I didn't. You know, you might have to say it like that, but let somebody know how they made you feel. And express that instead of holding it in. Then you explode. Drop kick everybody.
Yeah. I think that's real because, I mean, we go through that in our family. Like, sometimes, you know, not everybody in our family is as positive. Positive energy sometimes is just negativity. And so we went through periods where we were just taking it, where somebody's just talking to you disrespectful, and then you're taking it because you don't want to hurt their feelings. But in reality, it's like you have to surround yourself by positive energy, you know, period. I had to learn that, yeah, you could be a nice person, but if you don't want to be around that person, you don't have to. You don't have to center your energy around them at all if that's the case. Like, stop wasting your time, stop getting your feelings hurt, and then you come crying when you could have just said how you felt. And then I also had to learn to open my voice, stop holding everything in and putting the mask on, acting like you're good 24/7, and then everybody don't know your issue. And then when it comes down to the person, you explode. And then it's this commotion, and then drama happens, this happens, and it comes with a ripple effect. And so I just had to learn, like, if you feel something, just say it. If it's an emotional part of you, say it. Like, I'm a person that I'm completely open. I will say what's on my mind, what's on my heart, because I don't care. Because people need to know, like, what you go through. Sometimes your testimony can be something good for somebody else. Sometimes your experiences and what you go through negatively can help other people. And so the moments that back to what I was saying, the moments that I felt something negative from this other person, I just started to reset my energy. And I also began to know, okay, you got to forgive them even when they disrespect you, but you also have to respect them, because in some scenarios, you don't want people to see you as a bad character, because if you have this reputation, keep that reputation. Like, don't let that upset you. And I know it's hard to do that in a moment when it comes with emotions, especially when you want to act out of emotions, but you kind of got to analyze it and think about it and approach it differently. Come back to the situation, because sometimes it doesn't require, sometimes it don't require you to get ghetto. Sometimes it requires you to be classy, approach it classy. And my teacher, he even taught me that. He said, don't approach her the way that she approached you, because you're a classy girl. And if you approach her the way that she came at you, not ghetto, but rude, then that gets you out of your character. So it's just a matter of just, as you grow, you learn. And
And sometimes you gotta love people from a distance, and you gotta protect your own energy. That's why I always say, when emotions are high, your reasoning is low. I'm in my flesh, right? I'm trying to go at your neck right now. I ain't worried about how you gonna receive it. But at the end of the day, that's not a time for me to speak, because that's not a good representation of what I want to represent within my core beliefs and who I am.
Yeah.
So I need to make sure that I'm posturing myself in humility. And sometimes that requires you just not to say nothing at that time. And like I said, when I've had, I worked in the behavior class with the wildest kids in the school. I ain't never had no issues. I pull them out one-on-one. Hey man, what's going on, man? I'm not talking crazy to you. Like, what's going on? Talk to me. See, when you remove that audience, and you have to be wise enough to understand that, even at the gym. People used to arguing, but you tell somebody, hey, look, man, I'm not yelling at you. Let's just talk about it. Some people, they're so used to toxic communication that it's unfamiliar. So they kind of double take, like, oh, okay, my bad, dog. And, and that's how that respect is gained. But, we have to understand that everybody everybody ain't cut from the same cloth, and everybody not getting the same home training. Some at home, when you get mad, you yell, you cuss. It always perplexes me when people say, I'm about to cuss somebody out. And what's that going to do? Like I tell the student, tell me, I'm going to get my mom to cuss you out. Okay, and I'm going to turn around. You know what I'm saying? I ain't about to listen to that. Seriously. Yeah, we grown. No. What is that going to do? How is that going to help your situation?
Yeah.
You still not getting your phone back. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, it's like, come on, we have to be in humility, is because we have to understand this. Just because I'm feeling something, mean that that's the right thing to say or the right thing. The point of communication is me to say something to you and for you to understand and process it, right? But if I'm something to you that you can't understand or process, then what am I saying if I'm not communicating? So now I'm only saying it because I want to say it, not because you're actually going to receive it. So that takes discernment and wisdom and patience to understand when is the right time to say that. So if we arguing, that's not the right time. We not nothing from each other. Or if I'm coming at you in a negative way, I need to come at you in a respectful manner so you can even understand or be willing to receive what I have to say. But that just boils down to communication and humility and wisdom and, being honest with ourselves,
True. So do y'all have anything to say? We want y'all to join in the conversation, like anything that y'all want to say, any thoughts, anything y'all gained?
I was about to go teach mode on until everybody take the little pictures and the names, but I said, I'm gonna be nice. It's all good though.
I have a question for Mr. Carroll. This is Chris Pichon.
What's up, Dr. Pichon?
It's going well. What I'd like to do is just expound just a little bit on where we're headed in terms of education. I know you talk a lot about resiliency. You talk a lot about just enriching, especially students with having that perseverance. Moving into this new normal, knowing that students are going to require even more understanding and compassion regarding social-emotional learning. What advice would you share with this group as far as, what are some of those needs that, education will need to address with students from a bullying perspective or just in general, just emotional learning needs they're going to need, trying to persevere through this pandemic?
Okay, great question. I'll give this example. I'm working with 2 kids right now. And anybody out here that's from Houston, Have you ever heard of Haverstock Apartments? Some notorious apartments in Houston where they shoot, they do the drug, everything. So I got 2 kids from over there. One is 6 and one is 8. They say that the 6-year-old is dyslexic. They say that he is autistic. His brother, who's 8 years old, they say that he just downright bad. They go to one of the most, troubling schools in elementary school in Aldine. They have a lot of issues. Thick red folders. They only been in school. The 6-year-old just been in kindergarten, and the 8-year-old is just going to 1st grade. Both in special services, and both saying they got a learning disability. Within a week, they didn't know how to write their names. They didn't know their numbers. But I sat with them, and what I'm gonna tell you is the beautiful thing about this pandemic. I make those kids sit there and work for 3 hours straight, and I have minimal issues. It might be, hey, focus, we moving too slow. Hey, I said no talking. When I might test them and step out the room and stand by the door for a second to see if somebody gonna peek and say something. See, what I know is kids learn from who they like and who they love. When they know that you love them and you're invested in them. See, I honestly believe this is an opportunity to grow, because there's so many kids I know that don't really thrive in a class of 25 or 30, but in a more closed setting, like what we do with the different styles of co-teaching through special education, those small groups, I've been able to cover so much ground. They know how to count. They know how they're reading on their sight words. I've almost got the youngest one, who they say got all the issues, is really above grade level with his sight words and stuff and his math. He's real antsy. You know what I'm saying? What I'm saying is these smaller environments with the parents can be doing, or would I have a curriculum that I've developed that I would love to get on Zoom and start working with the kids a few times a week on the different strategies of patience, meeting the kids in the culture where they are. See, what I would encourage people to do is, you 12, but you on a 2nd grade reading level. Let's give you a 2nd grade book and reading stuff, and let's start scaffolding up and building. We can vertically align the stuff, and we can get everything going through, but we got to build some confidence. It's like momentum. When you look at the trampoline, your first jump, then you get the 2nd jump, then you just build a momentum. Now you go high, then your teammates step in and they can bounce you up really high. And that's what we have to do through literacy. That's what we have to do through the academics and building confidence. Because if I've taken high school kids, I ain't telling them I was giving them a 4th grade book. They seniors and juniors in special services. But the look on their eyes when they're able to read something, I'm like, look at you. Man, you got this. Now that's that confidence. We have to take advantage of this time to do nothing but confidence builders, giving them stuff on the levels that they can do, so we can work the independent work. Then we can work the I do, we do, you do. You know what I'm saying? So I show it to them, then we do it together, then they're able to do it on their own at a level of mastery. But we have to attend to the emotional needs. And while I say the emotions is connected to the academic, because emotionally I get distraught when I'm faced with work every day that I can't do. So what we do, it's like, I look at it like this. We the educated, we supposed to be the smart ones. Why we got kids that's testing the 2nd grade level in the 6th grade, but we still giving them 6th grade work? So at the end of the day, the reason why I had the high scores, when I was in Klein, I had the high scores in my 6th grade resource class of all of 6th grade, then all GT, everybody, because I met them where they were and I grew them. So I think we have to do that, because emotionally it is so draining. I mean, shoot, I get tired when I'm in some of the PDs and I don't understand the stuff they're doing. I get lost in the sauce. I'm a little frustrated. So I can only imagine if I was not as developed academically, socially, or mentally, and I'm just a child in the school. So what I would encourage us to do is to put a really big emphasis on the mental health aspect and seeing if the kids are emotionally healthy, and get them to see the why and the reason why. Because a lot of kids think, man, we just go to school, we just do it. No. This is why you go to school. These are the things that are going on in school. Well, I'm not going to use this any time in my life, but you're going to have to be on time wherever you're at in life. You're going to have to follow rules. You're going to have to be respectful. You got to understand that presence and essence determines respect. So there's so many aspects that we can grow in from a social emotion. That's why I wrote something. I did a social emotional thing for elementary, middle, and high school, and an equity curriculum, because we have to understand the equitable aspect within us delivering the instruction, understand that we are failing the kids because we're not meeting them where they are to help to grow them. So emotionally, we have to give them we got to give them some wins, because who want to come to school and lose all the time? Meaning, I'm in algebra, man, I can barely add. See, I didn't give them the grade level stuff that they couldn't do. I got them writing from 1 to 100. Now I'm working on ways so they can work with me with addition. Now they can do it independently. Now we done move to subtraction. I'm about to have them writing their timetables, repetition every single day. They're gonna go back to school grade levels higher than they was because we got very intentional. We had a controlled environment and it was filled with love and high expectations, extremely, extremely high expectations. You know, and I get these kids, I promise you, I will put my phone on record and let anybody see me through a Zoom. I'll make them work 3 to 4 hours on a daily basis just so they can get some free time. And they can't wait for that free time. But because there's somebody that's validating them and loving on them and attending to their needs and helping them, they enjoy it. So now they're saying, man, we want to read. We want to work, you know? So I hope I answered your question.
Yes, sir, you did. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Do they have any more questions that you would like to ask? No? Okay, so I have one last question, and this is it, okay?
Absolutely.
I think, if I believe this right, you're an author, so can you tell us more about like your book and everything that you've written?
Okay, so I was a self-contained behavior teacher, and I found out that 1 in 4 in Harris County are considered illiterate. But I said, that's not right because I work in the hood and can't hardly nobody read. But I learned that it's higher in certain communities. And I said, man, I got to get these kids to read because essentially every test is a reading test and you were just left out the funk. You got like a 70% high chance of going to jail if you can't read. I started doing these different studies and looking at the school to prison pipeline and all this stuff. And I said, also these kids that they can't read and they ain't got no social skills. Like if somebody's sitting in their seat, they don't say, hey man, get out my seat. They just go straight to punching them. Somebody step in front of them in line, they put them in the headlock and choke them. And I was like, oh man, so I have to teach them lessons and get them to do what I want them to do, which was read and behave, but I had to make it into practical situations that they go through every day. So I said I would have story time every day. And they called me Super Carol. So I was like, okay, I'm Super Carol. And I would have stories every day. There were situations they go through where I would make myself the hero. So I said, man, let me start writing these books. And I just put practical situations that I've been through or that I see kids go through on a daily basis. So I have this one right here, Super Sharing. And this is about sharing and not recycling your pain. You know, so, you know, I use these books and I have work pages in the back and everything for them to see, because my thing is this, as a teacher, you know that you don't just want to create a lesson plan. You know, I have questions, answers. You don't want to just create a lesson plan. You want to have something that when they get done with it, they actually know how to perform that task. So after you get finished reading Super Sharing, you know, I got synonyms and antonyms. You draw a picture. I'm tackling all the different styles of learning for them to learn that. So after you get finished reading Super Sharing, you will know how to share. You'll understand the variables of what it takes to really be able to share, which appropriate to share. Because there's some toys you don't need to share. Because your mama paid too much money for it, so you don't need to share that one. But there are certain things you understand and how to empathize. I have a core values page right here, which I actually added a few more to them. Hold on. Here it is right here. Here's the core values page. Here's just 14 of them. I actually have 32 altogether. I have a lesson plan and a curriculum for all of those, and it's going to be a book for every word. There's like 8 of them so far. And really, it's just teaching kids practical lessons through the practical things that we go through in life. And that's really all it is. And I was that kid that got in trouble. I used to have to go on the jail trips. They tried to put me in special ed. I couldn't come to school unless I took my medicine. And I just wish I'd have had a teacher that would have related to me, that I felt like me, that wanted to take some time with me instead of just calling me bad or calling my mama, lying on me and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong, I was a little active. I did spit balls and burn crayons in the back of the classroom and everything. I was a little active, but I guarantee you, where I took them kids, I teach with a football in my hand. That's my talking piece. You know, I just get creative. We do push-up contests. We do a morning run. We build resilience. My thing is this: anything you start, you finish. I don't allow them that option, you know, and that's really what fueled it. And it was just a beautiful thing to come from where I came from my journey through education and to have these books and to start inspiring the kids. Now I'm having other kids saying they want to do it. And I'm letting them know, man, you can do that. You can absolutely. So it's I'm just really excited about that opportunity to continue to do that and give back and help them to see, because I tell you this, when I studied the brain, early child education, you can start learning how to read around 2.5. So why we got 17, 18-year-olds that can't read? You know what I'm saying? So we're not activating our brains at the level that we can. So I'm trying to get to these kids as early as possible. Because think about it, when they come to the district, if they learn how to read in daycare, now they good. And as a former elementary school teacher, they make my job a lot easier when you already know how to read, or at least you got your phonemic sounds down. You know, I've been in schools where the kids ain't know their names. I'm like, bro, your name is not man. You know, they don't know, you know, so we gotta get it in a little earlier. So that's my thing, just trying to get it to them a little earlier.
Okay. Like, if you have like a link or any way that we can get your book, feel free to share it in the chat, because we will want to support you as much as possible.
Okay. All right, I'll put that. I'll put my website and stuff in the link. I'm in the chat, because I'm sparking up my YouTube channel where I'll be addressing different things like this, mental health things and stuff during the pandemic. We'll have stuff for teachers, for parents, for students, fun stuff. It'll be goofy videos of me and my daughter, you know, types of stuff. So
Thank you. So I just want to do a fun anti-bullying game for Kahoot. So if y'all have Kahoot, download it, and then I'm gonna give y'all the code. Okay. Make sure that y'all log in because we're gonna get started at least in 1 more minute. All right, we're gonna get started with the game. So the game is just 10 questions. And if you're not playing, just guess in your head. So what grade did I become a Girl Scout? Fourth grade. Y'all know me well. Y'all know me well. Okay. Was it Travis? I think is in the top. Okay. The next question is, which one is not one of the type of bullyings I discussed? This one is super duper easy. Super duper easy. Kind of obvious. Okay. So that one was obvious. Somebody said collective. Maybe because I didn't make not so big, so then y'all thought it was something else. Also, I'm trying to move us out the way. The game pin is at the bottom if anybody wants to join. Okay, so the next question is, am I not a senior in high? I am not a senior in high school. True or false? Hey, okay. Somebody said true. I don't know who that was, but yes, I am a senior in high school. And let's clap for Z. She's at the top. She's at the top. Okay. Where is Father Sohail from? If y'all were in the first session, y'all will probably know this one, but just try your best to figure out where Father Sohail is from if you weren't in the first one. I think that's everybody's answer, right? Okay, y'all got 8 more seconds. It's okay. Okay. So it was red. Somebody said Houston. I could see that though, because he stays here. So I could see that. Okay, okay. L got some points. Let's give it up for L. Okay. What helped Brian to be able to reach people who are labeled as hard to reach? That one was kind of easy. Somebody said being a journalist. That would be a live career, Brian. To be a journalist? That sounds cool. That sounds cool.
Yeah, I would need too much editing.
Yeah, true. Me too. Me too. Me too. Oh, what is my favorite song? I said this, guys. Y'all gotta know. Y'all gotta know. Because all of these songs are fire. Like, fire. Fire. Especially Janae Aiko.
Let me
Y'all.
these songs.
Let's see if y'all know me well. If y'all was listening. Okay. 2 people know me. The person who don't know me, well, Caught Up is fire though. Like, and I could see why you said the last one, because that one's fire. All the songs are fire. Like, it's different. Okay. So what is the hashtag you use on the background when you post on social media? The filter that I post in the chat. And don't cheat by going to the chat, guys. That's not right. I mean, I can understand how y'all say hashtag bullying. I can definitely understand that. But it's okay. All right. What is Dr. Sundeep's career? Okay, okay. We was listening. We was listening. All right. D is still sitting at the top, undefeated. How many resources did I create? If you don't know, it's okay. It's okay.
This one's tricky.
Okay, so listen. So I have 5 resources. Okay, 5. So my first resource that I created was my bullying prayer book, and which I will give to everybody because I haven't given this yet. The next 4 are just 4 of brochures, and I have a combined one that I sent to everybody. This is a bullying prevention one that has like symbols, signs, what you can do to help with bullying. I have one that's about the types of bullying that I kind of talked about today, collective, and a little bit of my story in there. So this is what it looks like. And then my last 2 is just helpful tips and a resource book. So I can understand how that can be confusing. So, yeah. But it's okay. Y'all still did good. Okay, so this is the last question. Now I know this one is tricky, okay? But I really wished I had a yes and no answer. But if it says it's wrong, your answer's not wrong. So basically consider true like yes and consider false like no, basically. But they don't have those choices. Okay, so okay. If it says you're wrong, you're not wrong. It's just that was the only choice. Okay. Okay. Clap for Travis. Okay, clap for Ryan. Okay, wait, we gotta wait. Yeah. I'm not surprised though, because she is a team member, so she would know us. But I thank y'all. Y'all been here. Y'all been rooting. Y'all been rooting. All right. So I just kind of wanted to do that to see how well we were listening throughout the whole thing, because sometimes things can get passed over and sometimes things are just not heard. So I want to do this fun game that I think would be super duper cool. I want to do a game entitled Never Have I Ever. And basically the game is where you say if you have, you say I have. If you say I have never, just say I have never. Basically like that. Keep it kind of simple. So I'm gonna start with this one first. Have you ever scared yourself? Never have I ever scared myself in the mirror. Just either say I have or I have not.
I have.
I think I have. It's it's weird.
I
Anybody?
have. I had I accidentally bit through my lip one time, and the first time I looked at it, oh, I scared myself.
Okay, anybody else? Dang, so we're the only weird people out here? That's okay.
Mhm.
So, never have I ever sung in the shower. I know everybody does this.
Yeah, I have. Yep.
Yeah, because
I
I mean,
have.
I have.
listen, the vocals be hidden when you in the shower. It's a different look. My mom pointed at me.
I have. I might have to go headphones on this one, boys.
Okay, never have I ever had a nightmare about a zombie chasing me or a clown. I think I've had a dream about a clown. I've had a dream about that. It was pretty scary.
I've had a dream of something chasing me, but it wasn't a zombie. I don't know what it was.
So I used to have this dream when I go to sleep. Like I would be walking through a dark alley and then there would be a dark house. And I don't know. After that, I would just wake up. I don't know.
Hello? Hello? I don't think anyone can.
Okay. The next one is never have I ever laughed at a joke I didn't get. I've done this before. I've definitely done it.
I'm sure I've done this, but I'm sure I have.
My mom does this all the time. I show her a joke and she doesn't think it's funny and I don't understand. Maybe because we're in a different level, but I don't know. She
Oh
does.
yeah, I do that all. My children laugh anyway. Yep, I've definitely done that.
Crazy. Never have I ever been on TV.
I have.
I have before. It was nerve wracking, but it was great. It was fun. It was fun. It was definitely fun. Okay, so I'm gonna do one more. I gotta pick a good one. Never have I ever cried for no reason or played sad music to make myself cry.
I have.
I have.
I do this all the time. I be happy, then I play sad music, and it's just the tears like you know like when people be in a music video and it's raining outside and they look at the window and it's like they be sad and they be crying like that. I be thinking about that all the time. Like, I don't know. I don't know if it's just me, but it's funny. Okay, so this I'm gonna stop at 450. So this completely is my last one. Okay. Ooh, I don't know. Never have I ever tried something I saw on Pinterest. If you have, what have you ever tried? Well, on Pinterest. I said Pinterest. Pinterest.
I have food recipe.
That makes sense. I be wanting to try like when people do journaling and stuff, and they have like all this fancy stickers and deep coding stuff. I be wanting to try that, but I keep forgetting. So, yeah, it'd be interesting. Okay, so it's 450, and I want to give y'all freedom to enjoy your evening. So I'm going to do my closing, and I will say this is the most fun I've had on a workshop. So I thank y'all for that. And I just thank our two guest speakers who came through, gave the most amazing advice, and it was the best. It was the best, honestly. So, this workshop has really helped me overcome my fears and conquer the dreams I never knew I needed. I'm blessed that I have chosen to be a part of your life and God's plan. I'm really surprised and blessed that so many of you enjoyed the previous workshop so much. Because in the beginning, we didn't have a strong foundation to start from. My mentors and these visionaries saw the start and helped me clarify with the logistics, gathering the speakers, and so much more. The list goes on and on because there's so much these people have helped me with mentally and physically. These people are Miss Katie Spencer, Miss Marie Ledette, Mrs. Gwen Johnson, and Mr. Pishon. And next, I want to thank Brian and Dr. Sundeep, who gave amazing advice words. And I literally have so many points, so many takeaways, so many conversation starters from just everything that y'all said. And I would like to thank my technology team and my facilitator, Jayla Jackson. She couldn't be here tonight, but absolutely thank her. And lastly, I want to thank my family, friends, and parents for the entire process. And I thank you again, and I hope that all of you have an amazing evening. One thing I want to say is I want to send out the survey to everybody since it's our last workshop, our last day, and I just want y'all to give y'all feedback. And I absolutely thank you for everything, for being here and just being such a spirit to me and helping a sister out to complete her workshop. So I thank you so much.
Kennedy, you did a great job. I'm just so proud of you. I know when you talked with me about doing this for your Gold Award project, you had so many ideas, and it's amazing to see that you've incorporated all of them and more, and you've just done a fantastic job. So I just applaud you, and these workshops have been really good. The speakers have been awesome. I got something out of each one of them, and talking to all my family about this series because you really did a great job.
Thank you. Thank you.
You
Great
did a
job,
great-
Kennedy.
Bye, y'all.
Super proud of you. Congrats.
Thank you. Thank you.